Modern warfare is, without exaggeration, the war of drones. Starting from miniature scouts and strikers and ending with strategic multi-purpose vehicles, drones have fundamentally changed the concept of war. More and more armies are investing in the development of UAVs, and companies are offering new and more advanced solutions. Today, we will look at the current situation in the world of drones, the new developments, and how they will impact the battles of the future. In our time, the appearance of a regular drone or quadcopter in the sky no longer surprises anyone. The first attempts to create unmanned aerial vehicles were made during the First World War. At that time, a remote control system was developed for striking enemy rear positions, but it was imperfect and vulnerable to electronic warfare means. During the Second World War, these efforts continued, but the previous problems were not resolved. The first prototypes of reconnaissance drones in the modern sense appeared in the USA and the USSR in the 1960s. Today, almost every army has its own fleet of both reconnaissance and strike UAVs, and this means of waging war, like tanks and aircraft once were, has become a game changer on the battlefield. Drones have become a means of asymmetric warfare, allowing even small armies to defend against a significantly superior enemy. Every soldier is forced to be on constant alert and watch the sky. The same applies to armored vehicles and tanks. Once difficult to penetrate, they have become easy prey for small quadcopters. In addition to actions on the front line, drones also have a huge impact on the enemy's rear. Thanks to their size, low cost, and stealth, they can conduct higher quality reconnaissance and deliver mass strikes on enemy targets, even deep in their territory. In the past, to destroy an airfield or a seaport, it was necessary to drop thousands of tons of bombs on the target, with no guarantee of complete destruction due to low accuracy. Now, drones can carry out a strike, and thanks to high-precision weapons, they can destroy enemy aircraft or ships with direct hits. In this case, even if the drone is detected and destroyed, there is no threat to the crew, as they are located in a safe place hundreds of kilometers away from the drone. This means that after receiving a new UAV, they can resume their duties. Special attention should be paid to the use of kamikaze drones. They have undoubtedly become a game changer in modern warfare, and Ukraine is a vivid example of this. The developments of local engineers have allowed for strikes deep into the enemy's rear, disrupting their logistics and reducing their military potential. The same applies to Russia, which, thanks to Iran and its own developments, has been able to deploy kamikaze drones, primarily Iranian Shahed drones, partially replacing the shortage of cruise and ballistic missiles. These are not the only advantages of this type of weaponry, but like everything created by humans on Earth, drones also have their drawbacks, which shape their tactics of use. We will discuss all of this further, but for now, let's consider the most promising types of UAVs that exist in the world. Let's start with the most common, but at the same time, the most multifunctional and promising aircraft of the airplane type. As mentioned above, the first developments of such UAVs began back in the time of the First World War, and today this has evolved into an incredible number of products of various types and purposes. According to NATO classification, all UAVs are divided into tactical, operative, and strategic, which in turn are divided into several classes. We will not list all the names of existing models, but we will only focus on the most remarkable ones. The first thing to talk about is the American-Australian unmanned aerial vehicle MQ28 Ghostbat. Information about the start of development of the new UAV first appeared in the mid-2010s. The Australian Air Force wanted to obtain a multifunctional unmanned aerial platform that could simultaneously conduct reconnaissance, strike the enemy, and operate both independently and in tandem with other aircraft. In addition, the UAV was required to incorporate advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and stealth. A fundamental condition set by the Australian government was the complete production of the aircraft within the country. As a result, the American company Boeing was selected as the contractor, which established a local structural division, Boeing Australia. As a result of the joint efforts of the Australian industry, the first full-scale prototype was demonstrated in March 2020, and in May 2020, it began testing. The first test flight of the MQ28 took place in February 2021, making it the first aircraft fully designed and manufactured in Australia in 50 years. Currently, flight tests of an unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, are ongoing, and it is already known that around 4 prototypes have been produced. The adoption of the MQ28 is expected later this year. This aircraft is, without exaggeration, a revolutionary invention in the world of drones, which will also change the perception of future warfare. The exact characteristics of the UAV are not disclosed by the developers, nor is the armament and equipment it will be able to carry. However, it is assumed that bombs and missiles for striking ground targets, as well as engaging in aerial combat, can be placed on its mounts. The expected operational range of the UAV will be 3,700 kilometers, with a combat radius of 1,700 kilometers. According to experts, the nose section of the MQ-28 can also be interchangeable and configured directly at the airfield. Just imagine, depending on the tasks, you can get a flying state-of-the-art camera, an electronic warfare station that jams all radio signals in the area, electromagnetic weapons, and a bunch of other adaptations. All of this opens up new possibilities for the countries that own these UAVs and allows them to gain superiority over the enemy. Now let's move from Australia to the west coast of the USA. Engineers from the company Kratos there are developing a counterpart to the Australian Ghostbat, the XQ58 Valkyrie UAV. To someone unfamiliar with UAVs, it may initially seem that these are two identical devices, but despite their similarities, they do have their differences. The Valkyrie was first demonstrated in 2019, and it was also tasked with supporting manned aviation and performing some of its missions. As with most similar developments, the exact characteristics of the XQ58 are unknown, but it is assumed that it will be used to support the F-15, F-22, F-35 fighters, as well as the next-generation NGAD fighters and the B-21 Raider bombers. Some sources also report that the USA has already begun operating the Valkyrie drones, with joint flights observed alongside F-15EX fighters. Another promising direction for the development of UAVs is the implementation of vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL technology. What seemed impossible, to combine an airplane with a helicopter, is now becoming a reality. This opens up new possibilities for the armed forces. The main advantage of using such technology on UAVs is the reduction of the distance, or more precisely, the surface area required for takeoff. Now, instead of needing tens or hundreds of meters of prepared runway and corresponding infrastructure to launch UAVs, only a few square meters of space are required. Additionally, this technology allows for the installation of drones on military vehicles and ships, thereby expanding the capabilities of other units. The war in Ukraine has already demonstrated all the advantages of this technology. Some of the most widely used VTOL drones include the Ukrainian PD-2, Estonian EOS, and German Vector. The latter is actively used by the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine. Thanks to their characteristics, especially auxiliary electric motors, special units can practically launch UAVs near the front line almost silently, without the need for special infrastructure. This solution significantly increases the range and distance of the aircraft and reduces the risks for the operators of the systems. Now let's move to another part of the planet, namely the USA. The local Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, is actively developing a prospective vertical takeoff and landing (VTOL) UAV called Ancillary or Assistant. This name, like most American weapon designations, is an abbreviation, and the development program itself is referred to as Advanced Aircraft Infrastructure, Less Launch and Recovery, which translates to an improved aviation system with reduced launch and recovery. The Pentagon has tasked the developers with creating a multifunctional aircraft for the needs of the military Navy, which can be based on ships and partially perform tasks of naval aviation. The aircraft should also have limited takeoff distance, be resistant to complex weather conditions, and the maritime environment. As a result, the developers proposed the following solution. The aircraft is a glider of airplane type, but the tail section is modified and equipped with 3 engines. Due to the small footprint of 15 square feet on one deck of the Arleigh Burke destroyer, it is possible to accommodate up to 8 such drones instead of 1 helicopter. Considering that one destroyer has 2 helicopter decks, there are 2 options for deploying the fleet's aviation. The first option involves having 8 drones and 1 helicopter for joint operations. The second option involves having 16 drones, which fully take on the functions of the fleet's aviation. Currently, the assistants are planned to be used only for reconnaissance, search and rescue operations, and target designation, particularly in interacting with anti-submarine aviation and assisting in hunting enemy submarines. In the future, there are plans to equip drones with strike and electronic warfare means, as well as to use them in cargo missions for communication between ships and the mainland. Now that we have familiarized ourselves with the main prospective UAVs, let's consider the tactics of their potential application. The experience of war in Ukraine shows that despite all their advantages and unique characteristics, drones are not completely invulnerable targets. Taking this into account, to effectively strike the enemy, it is necessary to use at least a group of several drones. The same applies to reconnaissance missions. To continuously monitor a specific object, it is necessary to use at least several UAVs. Otherwise, the desired result will not be achieved. Additionally, most UAVs remain vulnerable to electronic warfare, so it is necessary to further improve military communication and implement new communication methods. Another significant issue will be the cost reduction of aerial vehicles for their more mass production. However, despite all their limitations, unmanned aerial vehicles are, without exaggeration, a revolutionary means of conducting warfare. Thanks to their functionality, they allow for the execution of missions that were previously inaccessible, while also preserving the lives and health of military personnel. For example, there is no longer a need to risk the lives of pilots for carrying out strikes and reconnaissance missions in the enemy's rear. Now, all these tasks can be performed by swarms of drones, doing so more efficiently and with fewer resource costs. Drones, unlike winged and ballistic missiles, are also cheaper and can be reusable, which expands their potential applications. In the future, this asymmetric warfare tool will become increasingly sophisticated, allowing its owners to achieve victory with less effort. That's the end of our video. Thank you for watching until the end. Subscribe to our channel, activate notifications for new videos, and leave a like and comment. All of this helps us promote our content and gives you the opportunity to stay connected with us.